Okay, Salim, going to Alice. Lucas. Right. So if we maybe people are just maybe setting up their Scratch accounts, probably that's why they are not able to share, but I can see Felix in the room. Can you get one person to just sorry guys, I'm struggling with internet and stability of my network is not the best, but I believe you can hear me well. Felix, if you are in the room, please just confirm that you can hear me well. I was just setting the tone and the environment for you. Today, you are one of our facilitators who will take us through project-based learning with Scratch. We need to actually understand how project-based learning can be integrated in the Scratch projects or the Scratch platform for the students to be creative in their learning and also solve their problems or solve the real-world problems. And so this is your time. We don't want to take more time in this because we know that we only have 1 hour for this model or this session. So Felix, if you can hear me, please just come out of mute and take over, take the mic. Felix, we can't hear you. You are on mute.
Anybody who can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well now from my end.
I'm going to try something else and you tell me you can still hear me. Can you
Okay.
hear me now?
You are still audible, clear.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, everyone, for joining the session tonight. We do not have a lot of time. We want to save on that time. And I'll start us off by just checking on each and every one of you. Yes, Joel has been heard. I'd like to hear if Lucas is here. Lucas, are you there? Alice, Godfrey, Jomba, and Lomo, Wycliffe, and Salim. Are you guys there?
We are here, Felix.
Thank you. Alice, thank you. Jomba? Thank you, Salim. Lucas, Godfrey, and Jomba?
Godfrey is present.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. All right. We are going to start in the interest of time, but I'm really concerned about if the other members will be joining. We have close to 15 members who are not here, but I'm going to start. And the way to start is to get you to do this. Guys, let's get started by doing this. Go to the chat and click this link. So something you know, just click on it. If you can access the chat, let me know. Placing something on the chat, let's begin with that. Right, thank you very much. You can click that link. If you can see the link, please do let me know. You can click the link if it is working. Edith, Tim, Justina, I would like also for you guys to confirm that it's working.
Yeah, it's working. It's working for me. The link is okay.
Right. Good job. Let's complete the task. There is a task that required to complete there. Juma Mishi, if you're joining us at this stage, thank you very much for joining us. We are just doing a brief activity just to check on our knowledge, and I'm giving you a few minutes to look at it. I'll place the link on the chat. Ruth Wahu, welcome to the meeting again. And I'm saying there is a link that has been placed on the chat. Click on it. It should take you to somewhere. I would like you to play a little bit, get to explore. Today we're looking at project-based learning, where creativity meets the challenges or the problems. And we want to be able to bring out the best in ourselves as we come together for this learning moment. Thank you very much. If you started the task, go on. I'm going to announce results in the next 30 minutes. Not 30, in the next 10 minutes. Not even 10, 5 minutes. So go on and shine. Thank you very much. This is about Scratch, creative coding with Scratch, helping parents, teachers, and communities to build creativity among our young people, our children. And the goal is to ensure that we are able to prepare our learners for a world we do not know, where careers will be defined by things, things that we have not done in the past. And so with me, my colleague trainers, Joel, Tim, Justina being our admin there, and Edith, who took us through another session last week on building blocks of coding. She talked about variables, loops, conditionals, events, and she gave us some work, which some people have finished. Alice Krini has completed the work, which is good. I think the other people are still doing their work. We need to ensure that we are there as we continue. Thank you very much, guys. How is the task? Anybody who can give me feedback? Godfrey, how are things? Godfrey? Godfrey, if you can hear me. Godfrey Lusweti? Lusweti, yes. Ama Lomo, Wycliffe. How is it like? Yes, Lucas, how is it?
It was a little bit challenging, but all the same, I tried to attempt all questions. Okay. I'm only waiting for feedback from you or whoever is checking my work.
Yeah, we are checking your work. I will advise you quickly. The other people are still doing it. I think there could be some noise going on their part, so they will not be able to even hear me clearly. I see there is Lomo, Moshi, Tess, Godi, Nim, JK, Team, Alice, and Tina. Yes?
I am done, Felix.
How is it?
Quite challenging.
Yeah. We have to make it, man.
At least I've managed. I've tried.
Yeah, I want to see how it is. I also want to try.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. Another person. I see name is leading. Name is leading. Okay. Yes, anybody who wants to give feedback about how it was, the link is on the chat. You can complete it for those people who might be joining. Yes, it's a link that is guiding us on how to play around with this amazing tool on Scratch. Stephen Othuro, I think you might have joined later on. The link, it's been shared on the chat. If you do not find it, I'll place it there. You can also give feedback. Please feel free to share your feedback on the chat. Yeah, and then from there, we will be able to see how things are. You can see, we can do it again, by the way, just to see how it is that you can do.
My chat isn't active, please. Can you help?
Yeah, I'll place it in the meeting. Someone can place it on the chat, or I can actually do that directly. Where is the group? There you go. I'm going to place on the chat. You can play it on your phone. This one you can use your phone to play. It's a very simple task. And I'll stop it in the next 1 minute. So I'm just placing it there. And I'm very sure we will continue from there. Just want to introduce my discussion tonight. It's a very simple discussion. And then from there, we'll move together. Thank you very much anyway for joining the meeting tonight. And it's a pleasure to work with you tonight as we explore creative learning together. Creative learning with project-based learning through creative learning. Right? Okay. I need to start now. People, if you allow me, I'm going to start the discussion. So I might need to end the Kahoot and tell you the results so that we can begin. Without much ado, I will just go on now. Just a minute. Just give me a minute. There you go. So let's begin. I'd like to share my screen in a moment. And then we begin our discussion tonight. Well, thank you very much. The discussion on that specific activity that we have done was basically to get us started with, an understanding of what it is that we are calling project-based learning. And, with introduction to Scratch as it is. So in the past, Tim Dewa, who introduced us to this course, took us through introduction to Scratch platform, showed us the blocks, the palette for the codes, the scripts palette, introduced us to the stage, and then he went ahead to share with us on what we call the gaming itself. So the creating the stories, animations, but also stories, animations, but also art within the Scratch platform. Then the last session that we had, we started looking at, once you have the platform, you've seen the platform. The second module was to look at the building blocks that helps you to now start creating games. Today, our discussion is going to stretch you a little further, and you're going to make it within the next 40 minutes. I'll be done. In fact, I'll just play my cards very well. I'll show you 2 or 3 things, and from there we'll proceed and have a discussion on how we can make this happen in our classrooms. So allow me, without much ado, place my screen on to you. Then we begin. I'm going to share the entire screen. I like to share my entire screen. And I'm going to limit that. I'm going to get that. And here we go. Today, we go into the module 3. Please, if you are with me, ensure that we talk. Because if you don't talk, I don't know how to talk to people who don't talk. My class is not boring. I like to get people involved in everything. Why talk about project-based learning with Scratch? Why talk about projects at a time when everyone has been doing science projects? Some in the CBC, there's like a requirement to develop some projects, whether they are social innovations or even artifacts that are made from art, technology, or even science. The reason is because these projects push our learners to stretch their creative potential and see the possibility of what they can actually develop in the years to come, but also build their minds and create that ability within themselves to inherently develop solutions for challenges that they face. It is for that reason then that project-based learning goes hand in hand with what we call problem-based learning. So today we are using Scratch to create solutions, to create for problem solving. We are learning how we can go to our learners, introduce a way in which they can learn to create using Scratch. And we are not going to go very far. We're going to use what has been used in the past. In many times, this discussion might be, in a way, very theoretical, but I'm also going to get you guys involved in the activity. So from the beginning, my name is Felix Malombe. I'm an EdTech and innovation coach working for various schools, but also the executive director at STEAM Labs and one of the trainers. We've just completed a task that I called Let's Play the Basics. And in this task, I was introducing you guys to what we call what am I calling it? The Scratch platform referencing, going back to see, did we understand what is the stage? What does Scratch, what is Scratch used for? And many other things that you've seen. We have seen some activities that required you to do something. I will give you this Kahoot. You can edit it and make it yourself, and then make it yours. And then from there, you'll be able to make a difference in your classrooms. All I'm saying is that you can actually use that Kahoot to test your students after you've taught them 1 or 2 sessions, or even 3, as you continue with your practice. And that is why we needed to do that, to refresh our minds. In our session today, our focus will be understanding project-based learning. Then we'll go through the MIT Learning Creative Learning platform, which they call the creative spiral, which you're going to see how it can be used to build projects. And then thirdly, I'll introduce you to something I've got. I'm calling projects, peers, passion, and play. Something that already you've seen from the document that I shared on WhatsApp. And then we get immersed in project-based learning, which is also might be referred to as creative learning. So come with me in that journey. Before I make any progress, I like to talk briefly about projects and project-based learning. For many years, we have heard people talking about, at the end of the term, I need my students to have my projects. But the question is, what projects? Is it dioramas? Is it items that we want to make? And then at the end of the lesson,
Felix, we can't hear you.
all right.
You are muted, Felix.
We can't hear you, Felix. Could you please check your mic?
Unmute yourself, Felix.
Okay, so what Felix is trying to say is about Godfrey, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
So as we wait for Felix to set up, could be he's having a technical issue, but what he was trying to say is the rationale for projects, not only in the coding environment, but just cutting across in the learning areas. So project gives hands-on experience to the students, and also they boost the creativity as they do the project. And the ultimate result is about realizing the learning outcomes. So I think that is what Felix is trying to highlight. And then now moving ahead is also trying to explain how we can integrate the projects that we normally design, regardless of the learning area, and then how do we integrate them with Scratch so that we create a learning environment which is playful but engaging as well. Felix, are you back? So as we wait for him, probably we could, I had posed a question earlier on and somebody was reacting there about our previous sessions. And so someone was saying that the assignment was really challenging, but doable. I don't know, how did you find the assignment? What is your experience? Do you really have time to at least get a review of what you learn, probably for the session over the week? What is really your experience? We would like to get the feedback so that we also improve and get things done. From Ruth Wahoo. So
Thank you
far,
very much,
yes, yes.
Dr.
Mm,
I just started it, and I think Felix just stopped it, so I didn't
yes.
get to experience so much. But I'll do it if it will be still available.
All right. So do you have the Scratch account in the first place?
Yeah, I think I took time to download the Kahoot on my phone because I was doing it on my phone. So by the time I was done with downloading the app and doing it, it was already done.
Okay, at least that is that is good feedback. Then
Yeah,
thank you, Ruth. Then
welcome.
Steven Oturo, what has been your experience in the learning journey for the past two sessions?
Yeah, it has been good and it has been a very good experience. The
Yes.
only challenge, the only challenge I have is with the gadget I'm using.
Mm,
I'm using the phone and I'm also using the LDD.
okay.
Yeah, so sometimes it picks the Wi-Fi, sometimes it doesn't pick, so it is on and off. And
Okay.
I'm trusting God to get a very good device soon.
Okay. But at least you're able to navigate through the Scratch platform.
Yes, yes. So I also created an account.
Ah, that is great. That is great. Salim, did you share your experience?
Hello.
Yes, Salim.
Yes. The program is good. I have
Mm,
an account and a Scratch account.
mm,
I tackled the assignment halfway, but
mm,
the previous session,
mm.
the presenter was so quick because
The,
the presenter who was there last week.
mm,
Because at our age, I think we need more time for
mm,
practical, and if it's a practical
sure, sure,
lesson,
sure. And
yeah, something must be
yes,
done in a slower manner whereby we can as well follow
sure.
steps as she did. We also do we do the same on our
Devices.
side. Yeah.
Okay, that is good feedback. And I think we are also taking care of that. And that's why we also share the recording just to make sure that if at any given point you missed a section or an explanation, you can always get back to the recording and
Okay.
maybe try to uh, get the grasp of all what was learned. But that doesn't mean you can't reach out. We are also available. You can always
Yeah.
reach out for support.
Thank you, Mr. Joel.
Okay, thank you, Salim. Thank you, Salim. Uh, who else would wish to give feedback, maybe from all right, I'm seeing Felix is back. Felix, can you hear me? You are still muted, Felix. We can't hear you. We can't hear you, Felix. Could you please rejoin or you check your microphone? Not yet.
And right now,
Yes, yes.
amazing. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for that. I can hear you clearly. I'll just go and take that once again. I'm so sorry I took some of your time there, and I think I will pick it up from where I was. So I talked just a little bit about the session objectives, and I did mention that today I'm going to look at creative spiral, and I'll move to projects, peers, passion, and play, and then we'll get immersed in that work. So I asked the question about project-based learning, and I said projects and project-based learning. And I was trying to speak about the difference. But maybe we can hear from someone, only one person. What do you think is project, and what the difference with that from that is what the difference between this and project-based learning? Maybe one person, even if it's Atrina. Joel, what do you think? I can pick up with your mind on this.
Sorry, Felix, I didn't get you right.
I'm asking the question that is on the wall. If you can see my screen, we talk
Okay.
about projects, then we talk about project-based learning. What do you say about that? What is the difference?
Okay, in my understanding, I tend to think projects are the products. I mean, the outcome, as opposed to the actual learning through projects or through doing the project. So project learning is a process, the activities that bring the product, which is the project at the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another person, maybe we can hear from my friend Ruth. Ruth, do you want to say something about what are projects and what is project-based learning? Ruth? Okay. If Ruth is not able to do that, I'll just go ahead and speak shortly about projects. Thank you, Joel, for that and for contributing. So for project, we are looking at a specific task, assignment, or activity that is given with a defined goal or outcome. We know what we want at the end of the project, at the end of the activity, what we want the child to do. We want them to make a craft, an aeroplane using papers. That is a project. It can be completed individually, or if people can work together. Then number 3, we are saying projects often have a specific structure, and there is instructions which are given either by the teacher or the group members who are in the group, or even the person working alone. The focus of a project mainly, and that's what happens in most schools, is that it's typically on the focus is being on the deliverable, whatever is going to be brought to school. And that's what Joel has said. Then projects, again, we are told, can be used as a means of applying knowledge and skills that learned, maybe like what we did in our class. In our lesson, we discussed about, baking projects to prove a point, maybe showing how loops work, and we're able to create a solution for that. But also we talked about projects that can be used to show conditionals, and that is how we were able to demonstrate that we can actually create projects. Now, the difference between this and project-based learning, what is this? In project-based learning, it's an approach that is used that centers around completion of projects. Yes, it's an approach that is used to bring about, our learners inquiry or, active learning by way of ensuring that they come up with project. But it's an approach, it's a teaching approach, instructional approach. We normally say the beauty of PBL is the fact that it ensures it is not just that subject that you're working on. If you're looking at loops, with project-based learning, the focus will be to create a project that trains children how to, or gives the children opportunity to play, at the same time use the skills learned in coding, including mathematics, including environment and such like things. So PBL brings together not just projects for a specific task or specific, what you said, activity or assignment. It now tries to bring other disciplines on board. PBL, we're saying, is driven by inquiry, where learners explore and investigate real-world problems. No wonder I said this from the beginning. We are creating for problem solving. So then moving on, I'm also saying that PBL involves students engaging from the start to the end. The process, there is members of the group planning, the members of the team researching, members of the group collaborating, and finally presenting what they would call as their final prototype or product or project. Then we also say it emphasizes the 21st century learning skills, the 21st century skills, critical thinking, pushes students not to just complete based on the instructions that they have been given by the teacher or by themselves, but they now are able to critically think and analyze what each and every person is saying for the purpose of building that specific project. Does it solve a problem? Yes. So then it enhances or emphasizes on problem solving. And finally, does it create or ignite creative potential within us to show up? That is what we call creativity. PBL encourages learners to take ownership of their learning and apply the knowledge in the real world context, what we call authentic contexts. And by the way, this PBL, the project-based learning, incorporates reflection, assessment, and assessment of both the process and the final product. In the initial approach that Joel spoke about, which is projects, the focus is on the final deliverable, the final product, what is going to be given. That is what is assessed. But in the PBL, we are looking at the process. Why do we need to do the process? Margaret Mead from the UK said, our children need not to be taught what to think, but how to think. When we're teaching using projects, men and women in my classroom today, we are asking learners to come up with projects. We are asking them what to think. But when we check the process, when we take them through PBL, we challenge them through the process, the project development process, till the end. Actually, we normally say the process takes 70% and the final product is only 30%. And that is what we are looking at. How do we bring out project-based learning? And have you gotten the difference between the two? Remember, multiple subjects. 2, inquiry, development of 21st century skills, the project planning process or project development process. We talked about the ownership of the learning and application of knowledge in real-world contexts. And finally, the focus being both the process and the final product. In our approach at Stimulus, at Scratch Foundation, they use an approach they call the creative spiral, where you start by imagining what is possible. With your imagination, you create what that mental imagination. And so Scratch becomes a platform for you. It's like a canvas for you to draw what idea you have in your mind. One of the trainers called Gloria Ngure has a very good way of explaining Scratch platform. And she says, when you're making anything on Scratch, or when you're creating, I'm here, by the way, let me try to see if I can get a pen. You start with, okay, I think I got the wrong thing. Need a pen, that's right. Give me, please. Not laser. Yeah, I need a pen. The pen I want an orange one. Oh, actually, it's writing. Just confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, Felix.
I drove for a moment, my internet there. Yeah, I was saying that with the imagination in the mind, whatever it is that you're thinking about in your brains, you can bring it out in a canvas. The canvas here is Scratch platform. You come and start creating something. You need the building blocks of coding to be able to bring that out. You need the creative learning platform, the building blocks of coding to be able to bring what you are thinking about in your mind out. Once you create that project, you now try to play to see if it is making sense. Does it make sense based on the mental model, whatever you had in your brains? Then from there, you can share it with the world so that other people can play it. As they play, they got an opportunity to reflect. What are they reflecting on? What was this person thinking? Can we make the game better? Can we create our own? Then again, you start imagining. And that is why at this stage, they do something called remixing. There are 4 principles that guide Scratch Foundation in all this, and I'll be talking about them later on as we continue. So in the approach, they are calling it the creative spiral, which starts with imagining in the mind, coming to Scratch, the canvas, coming to play, and sharing with people, and from there reflecting on what you've created, or the other people have created, and then you go again to imagining, and you now start creating, and that is what we're saying the what we call the creative spiral and the creative learning. So it has been mentioned here that also we look after, when you are working on all this, you're working on what we call the 4 Ps. And I want to play this video with you. I want to share this video with you so that we can be able to, reason together. Let me just get this. Going to pick. Okay. Going to play this video. I'd like us to just listen very quickly. And I'm going to share my screen. It's a very long video, but I'm going to cut it short as I continue. So please stay with me as I do this. I'm trying to get my sound to be heard. There you go. And here I'm going to start. Now, before I play the video, I would like you to notice that the person speaking to us is none other than the founder of the Scratch platform. This is Mitch Resnick. It's called Michelle Resnick from Lifelong Kindergarten Department of MIT. Let's listen in quickly, and I'll come back explaining a little bit why we started with this platform they call what is it called? Called the creative spiral, and what happens so that you now could be able to create projects, then work with peers to be able to, play and also see certain things coming out. Let's listen in shortly and then we continue. Please let me know if you can hear this.
I think there's one thing that everyone can agree on, and that's that we're living in a world that's changing more rapidly than ever before.
There you go. Can you hear this?
Yes.
Yes.
Clear.
Yes, let's listen.
Yes,
It's
as
a
a
very
voice,
good one.
not as a video.
And that's that we're living in a world that's changing more rapidly than ever before. Things that we learn today might be obsolete tomorrow. We all recognize the world is changing incredibly quickly. So because of that, learning particular facts or skills today might not be useful in the future. The thing that is most important in a rapidly changing world is the ability to think and act creatively. Because no matter what situation you're in, we know that you'll be confronted by new and unexpected problems in the future. So we don't know exactly what those problems will be or what those unexpected situations will be. But if we help people develop as creative thinkers, they'll be well prepared for a world that's constantly changing. Now, unfortunately, the education system today is not set up to help prepare people to develop as creative thinkers. The education system was set up for a time where people learned what they needed to learn, from age 6 to 18, and then they used that knowledge the rest of their life. We need to shift around our priorities in education so that we put a higher priority in preparing young people to think and act creatively so they can come up with innovative solutions to the to the unexpected situations that we know will await them. So as I've thought about how is it that we can prepare people to become creative thinkers, I've looked around and I've gotten a lot of my inspiration from the way children learn in kindergarten. Because I think kindergarten gets people off to a good start as creative thinkers. If you think about the traditional kindergarten, kids spend a lot of time in kindergarten, playfully creating things in collaboration with one another. They build towers out of blocks. They build pictures, they create pictures with finger paints and crayons. In the process, they learn a lot. When they build with blocks, they learn about stability, what makes things stand up or fall down. When they make pictures with crayons and finger paints, they learn how colors mix together. But maybe even more important, they learn about the creative process. They learn how to start with an idea, explore the idea, and follow it through and continue to develop a project based on a creative idea. So I think kindergartens, at least traditional kindergartens, have helped children start to develop as creative thinkers. But then after kindergarten, kids get into the rest of the school system where they sit there, they fill out worksheets, they listen to lectures, and it takes away their development as creative thinkers. Unfortunately, in many places, kindergartens are becoming more like the rest of school. You go into kindergartens today, and in many places, kids are filling out mathematics worksheets and exercises and doing phonics drills. And they aren't doing the type of playful, collaborative, creative activities that they've done in the past. So kindergarten is becoming more like the rest of school. What I'm arguing for is that we need to make the rest of school, in fact, the rest of life, more like kindergarten. So what is it that is special about this kindergarten approach? I sometimes think of the kindergarten approach to learning, I call it the creative learning spiral. So,
my fellow leaders, already there is so much to pull from that. And one of the things that is coming out from that discussion is that many times we have done projects to just give marks at the end of the term. And that is why Mitch is saying, instead of focusing on, just making children do a lot of worksheets and fill a lot of blank spaces in questions, we need to actually start looking at ways in which we help children to think and act creatively. Why? Because the world is changing, but anybody who is creative is going to remain. And that is why this guy is arguing. It is not even about what is happening, because now we see, my daughter was in kindergarten a few days ago. All she kept saying is vu a n van ku a tu cat. And I was like, she has to feel in this, she has to read these things. Why can't she get a playful way of learning this so that actually her mind remains creative and not what just the teacher said? Yesterday, I met a child who is 4 years of age, and the child was saying, vu a n, vun. And the child kept saying those things. And she would tell me, if I don't say what she's saying, say, I'll slap you. I'll slap you. Say vu. I say vu. And that is the teacher taking control of the class. How can we change that and bring in playful learning where the child is able to pick up that and learn on their own, maybe through a video, but through maybe a Scratch platform where they are doing vu and I don't know, you guys can think and I can think as well. And we can actually bring that out so that the child does not just pick up the mind of the teacher, but they are able to think on their own and learn on their own. That is what project-based is all about. That is what creative learning is all about. And now he continues to talk about creative learning.
So it's a spiral that it starts from imagination and then creating, playing, sharing, reflecting, and imagining. You might see in a kindergarten, one day kids will come in with an idea that they want to build a fantasy city, and they pull out the blocks and they start building a tower with the blocks. Mm-hmm. So this is their imagination. They start with imagination. They imagine a city. But again, it's not enough to imagine. Just ideas are not enough. Imagination is not enough. They start creating with their blocks. So they go from imagine to create. As they create, they also are playing. And when I think of play, I think of a process of experimenting. Because as they're playing with the blocks, they start to see, how can I make this taller? which blocks will work best for making my tower the tallest or the biggest. So they're constantly experimenting and trying new things. They also will start sharing with one another. Someone might start to build a house and someone will build a restaurant next to it, and someone else will build a road and move cars back and forth. So they'll start sharing and getting ideas from one another of how to improve. Now, as they're doing this, what probably will happen in a kindergarten is somebody will knock over the tower and they'll start arguing.
Yes.
But that's also a good opportunity for learning. And part of the role of the teacher is to help children reflect on what happened and what went wrong and how they might do it differently. The teacher might show them a picture of a skyscraper, and the children will notice that it's wider at the base than at the top. And that gives them a new idea, and they'll start building a new tower that's wider at the base to try to make it more stable so it won't fall so easily. So they've gone through this process of imagining, creating, playing, sharing, reflecting, sparking new imaginations. And I think that's what makes kindergarten a very rich learning experience. We can use that same process everywhere. Here where I work at the MIT Media Lab, we use that same process in our own work. When we're developing new technologies in my research group, we go through that same creative learning spiral. We imagine new ideas, we build prototypes, we try it out with others, we get feedback from other people. We reflect on our own experiments and the feedback, and that sparks new idea, and we go around that spiral over and over. And I think that's what makes the Media Lab such a creative, innovative place, because our approach is like kindergarten. Now, of course, we use different technologies than in kindergarten. We use laser cutters and microcontrollers, not just crayons and finger paints and wooden blocks, but the process is the same. So as I see it, I really think that it works in the traditional kindergarten. It works to places like the Media Lab. We just have to change the rest of the world.
There, teachers, we are in this course, number one, to change our mindset. We need to bring the kindergarten class in our Form 4 class, in our grade 7 class. It doesn't matter what it is. All we need to do is provide that opportunity for the children to use the creative spiral and bring out their projects. And the project here is defined as that house that is knocked by that one child because the stability is not coming out. Then we start looking at photosynthesis, looking at what will be required to make this and that. If you're using Scratch, for example, because it talks about microcontrollers, Arduinos, microbits, and other things, he's looking about Lego. You can see on this table there is Lego. We are saying in our spaces we have Scratch. How can we use Scratch to teach 1 + 1? Can we find a game that has been created on Scratch that is called Addition Scratch game and teach children how to do addition? I want to show you that game, and I'll just open this link and I'll just show you that this is something that children can actually even create for themselves. Just today, I created what we call the times tables using microbit platform. But from Scratch, this is what you can actually go and look for. So I'm just going to say addition game. You can even just Google, even subtraction game on Scratch. And this is where I'm talking about project-based learning. The student will create an addition game, addition race. It's called addition race. All right. It has been done a lot of remixing by so many people, and you can do the same. So the first one has these two, I don't know, they are called Beatles or what, but they are what they are. And what they have done, they have put 2 characters side by side, and they have been able to create a game that you can play. They say when you click the green flag, it will start playing. The characters are us, they are competing. What is 9 + 4? You can set your game by saying you need only numbers that are below 8, below 10. So if you are teaching in kindergarten or in year 1 or grade 1, you need to pick. And you can see I keep moving forward as I keep going. You can change this game and remix it and make it your own game in your own classroom. If you make a mistake, you are delaying. So like I'm putting 8 there, I can put that instead of 12. You see I'm delaying. Here I can catch up, can try to catch up, I can try to catch up, can try to catch up, and there you go. I managed to win. And that is a game that has been created for you. Over time, we are going to be looking at remixing. But what you need to do if you find a game like this, you can click see inside to see what has been created. And these blocks, you can give them to your children to start with this, because it's like a canvas. It's like a canva.com where you create presentations, where you can actually see what other people have done and try to remix. And we will be talking about remixing together with the trainers here. But I'm just saying this is a very simple game that has been created with not many blocks, by the way. There are only 2 sprites. One is just talking about moving from 240, that is this side 240, all the way to the other side, I think 91. I mean 91 on the y-axis. And you can just copy this and, straight to play around. If you look at the platform itself, there is some things like random numbers being talked about there. And it's just saying you need to pick a number between random 1 and B, random 1. And the highest, I think, is just saying the numbers, the maximum is 10. You can change this to 100. And if you try to do that, that is remixing. I've already remixed the game, and you'll see how it will look like. Watch this. If I try to go back to the green flag and I play, you see it's 7 plus 43. And here it's saying I'm going to put 50, because the number can change depending on what you want to teach. Now, I don't know 69 plus 75, guys, unless you tell me that is 4, carry 1, 144. I can keep going. And that is an example of what he's saying. You can use anything for your learners. Now, creative spiral, creative learning spiral. Imagine, create, whatever is in your mind, create. As you create, what will you be able to do? You will play, and you might play alone, or you can play with others. Then from there, from playing, you can share with other people also who can play more with you. Then from there, you reflect, because it might be messed up by the people who are playing. As you reflect, you bring in your feedback that you've gotten from the people who have played it, or your own personal experiences, as Mitch has mentioned. And that way, you're able to imagine again. Now, we have 4 P's of creative learning. How does this work? Let's listen in once again.
And that's a big part of what we're trying to do in my research group. Actually, my research group is called the Lifelong Kindergarten Group. We want to take those ideas of kindergarten, but stretch them through a lifetime. So we're constantly developing new technologies, new strategies, new activities, new settings that use that kindergarten approach to allow people of all ages to be able to continue to learn in that kindergarten style. And I do think this is a place where new technologies can make a big difference, because we think, well, why is it that the kindergarten approach has not been adopted, through the rest of the school system? Now, there are probably many reasons for this. There's certain ways in which, schools want to control in a certain way, and they have a certain model of this system. But I do think it's partly because of the technologies and materials and media that we've had at our disposal. The technology of kindergarten, wooden blocks and finger paint, are great for learning the concepts of kindergarten, number and shape and size and color. But if you're not 5 years old, but 10 years old or 15 years old or 25 or 45 or 65 years old, just wooden blocks and finger paint aren't enough. So that's one reason why in the past, the education system has shifted to just delivering information, because we haven't had the right materials and technologies to allow people to learn in a kindergarten style. But this is where I think that new technologies, if we use them the right way, can make their biggest impact. That we can design new technologies that, in the spirit of the wooden blocks and finger paints of kindergarten, can allow people to learn in a kindergarten style, but to work on more advanced projects than kindergarten children and learn more advanced ideas. So we want to develop technologies that engage people in kindergarten style learning, but to work on much more advanced projects and to learn more advanced ideas, to develop sophisticated simulations on the screen to learn new types of scientific ideas, to build new types of engineering robotic devices, to learn new types of engineering ideas. So to build more advanced projects, but to sustain that kindergarten approach. Because we really see that what's most important for success and satisfaction in today's society is for people to develop as creative thinkers. I think nothing is more important for individuals, for companies, for communities, for nations as a whole. The key to success at all levels will be the ability to think and act creatively.
There, that's where we stop. Now, let's look shortly about the P's, the 4 P's. I just want to take us through very quickly about the first one. The first P is projects. And this way you're imagining, at the end of the day, you want to have a project, but you're also looking at how do we ensure that the projects that we work on are going to help us in solving the challenges of the world. And that is where we start thinking about what I call in STEAM Labs, the first P, problems. What are the challenges that we are facing? We talk about sustainable development goals as our guide. We say, let's look at education, for example. And in education, we say we want to look at literacy. We are told in Kenya that there are over 80% of learners in Kenya. No, I lied. 20%. I'm not very sure about the statistic. I saw it somewhere. That over a certain percentage, children cannot read and write, especially huko Ushago. Achana hapa Kibra na hapa majengo ya Kisumu. No, I'm talking about children who cannot read and write and they're in class 4. That is a tragedy. And as guys, we ask ourselves, what can we do to come up with a project that can help us with that? That project is informed by what we feel, what we experience in our lives, and then from there, we now know what it is that we are imagining in our mind. So we have a problem. Then from there, we start looking at a process that can help us to do that. Creative spiral is one of them. There is another one called design thinking, and I'll be sharing about it in a moment as I conclude. But then from the project that we've imagined, we bring people together, and that's where we talk about peers. Peers, these are members that can work together. They could be people who are not even agreeing at the beginning, but they can come together and build those projects together. Then thirdly, these people must be drawing their inspiration from their heart. And that is what we call passion. You cannot do anything if you don't like it. So passion is about interests. How do we get learners to come together in things that are interesting to them and build something that is they love to do? And at the end of the day, we want to make it play-based. We want the learners, whatever they work with, they can play around and get feedback about it, and they continue creating. The 4 Ps, projects, peers, passion, and play. That are the 4 Ps. Now, before I go to the teaching strategies, there is something I talked about in the last few seconds. I said problem. We start with a problem. We identify a problem in our society. It could be climate change. It could be science recycling. That is SDG number 12. Good health and well-being. No. Responsible consumption and production. It could be something to do with exercising and something to do with heart disease and obesity. That is good health and well-being. It could be something to do with poverty, and that is goal number 1. It could be something to do with food security and end hunger in all forms. That is goal number 2. These are sustainable development goals that we can use to guide our students in the projects. And you can find more resources on various links that I'll be sharing at the end of the presentation. But then these are other approaches that you can use to bring out projects in your classroom. We say number 1, we can use the 5E instructional model. This is when you are doing your planning of your lesson. You start by thinking about engaging the learners, doing an exploration, explaining concepts as they continue, and where possible, elaborating, and finally getting feedback. There is another one. We have already talked about project-based learning, and we have talked about the spiral. There is something we call the inquiry learning cycle. You can imagine all these things are the same. You look at this, it says tuning in, you find out, you sort out, you go deeper or go further, make conclusions, and then take action. It goes round just like what we have talked about in the creative spiral. Others include gamification, where you use gaming, and Scratch is based at that to bring out effective creative coding. Then when it comes to evaluation or marking for students. You want to see that they work together, there were observations, there was a reflection and feedback, and there were shared goals based on interests, like we said in the 4 Ps. They worked together, they did their research, and they were able to reflect and work together. Then we have assessment strategies, and like I mentioned, the best way to do this is every time the students are doing their projects. For remember, the end product is not the main thing. The most important thing is the process. But the two matter, the deliverable of the project, but also the process of creating. You want to ensure that your project takes, the process takes 70%, and the 30% is what the end deliverable is. Project portfolios have been had in the CBC curriculum, but also outside the CBC curriculum. Every education system is reforming towards project-based learning. So a portfolio plays a big role. Now, Ruth Wahu has worked with me in the past, and she has seen me giving students a portfolio at the beginning of the term. This document I call portfolio helps them to run from the beginning of the term as they continue. First lesson, they will do this. Third lesson, they will do this. It's a guide. But it also gives them platform for them to ask questions for themselves and edit it as they go on. And mostly I give it in a Google document or Google document or a Microsoft Word online document, which they can collaborate and edit as they go on. Then at the end of the day, they will work on a presentation, which is I call a pitch, portfolio, then pitch. And then from there, they will present the artifact, the prototype, the project, the deliverable that many people normally think is the main thing. By the way, in my class, that is only 20%. The portfolio is 70%. The presentation, because I want to hear how they clarify, is 10%. And then the product that they have made is 20%. Now, then, of course, along the way, you want to ensure that the learners keep doing feedback and the collaboration is done. What I'm trying to say is that during the portfolio filling in the details and where they edit, I ensure that it's a platform where they can provide feedback to one another and they can collaborate. One group collaborates with another to give them feedback, and another one collaborates with another one to provide feedback so that they come up with the best in the spirit of the creative spiral. Finally, of course, every team needs to reflect on their own, and they do self-assessment as a creative spiral has told us. And finally, you'll be able to complete and submit your projects. There is a lot to write about all what I've said, and there is a lot that I can keep talking about. But here I put together some resources that can help you to continue exploring the building blocks, but also the creative coding. There is some resources there, and I want to stop at that. Before I stop at that, I want to show you something that we can practice in the next lesson before we start. It is called making faces. Okay, it's called making faces. And this is what I want you to do. I'd like you to pick any household material and try to see how you can make a face using this. And I'll tell you what we do with this. So you can take, this is, someone has used anything. They have used their clothes, others have used plate, others have used bananas. You can use anything, make a face and then take a photo. I'm going to place this. Then I'll tell you what we do. Please ensure you share this in the meeting, in the platform. Where is that? Where are you? But I'll also put it on our meeting link. Yes, Ruth, you can see something. Your hand is up as I share this. Please do this activity called making faces. And then take a photo, and in the next lesson we'll be able to share, talk about it, and I'll tell you how we can move it to the Scratch platform and move on. Ruth, your hand is up.
This was before Felix. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay, okay.
I had raised, yeah, when you had called me, then you answered everything.
Okay, okay. So this is what you might require. It tells you what it is that you're looking for. You can watch a video there telling you what it is that you need to do. And then from there, you'll be able to make your own face. Make a face with any material from your home or from your school. Take a picture and try to make a face from that. Look at this face, for example. I don't know what the person is saying. Something like that. And you need to be able to do so. All right. As I put down Ruth's hand down, today I didn't have an activity to do with Scratch, but I'll be sharing more resources for you to explore through the week as we continue together with the team that is supporting us. I want to open this door now for questions. Any questions?
Excuse me, Felix.
Please proceed.
Could you help us with the slides? If you don't.
Yes, I'll give you the slides, and I'll also give you the include the videos. Yes.
Thank you.
Any question on project-based learning and how you can deliver it to your students? Steve, Salim.
No, I'm just happy out of what you have shared today, and what remains is to put it into practice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Steve. We keep doing this. Let's continue learning. Let's continue becoming better. Yes, Salim.
Keenly following. There is no problem.
Thank you very much. Juma Mishi, do you want to say something?
I think so far so good. We are doing okay. I like the progress.
Thank you very much. Please feel free to ask any questions even in the group. Godfrey, if you want to say something. And I just stretched you guys by 18 minutes, and that is not what we want to be doing because the other time we went very late the other day. I want to stop it at this time, and I'll be sharing more resources for you to go through and try to practice for this continued course. Just to mention that the next session will be on, let me just pick this. It will be on curriculum integration. Now you can ensure even math, science, and language arts get those interdisciplinary learning experiences. How do you bring in ICT integration using Scratch, but also how do you introduce this to your learners and to your teachers, colleague teachers? Otherwise, thank you very much. I want to end at that. And I want to request that we continue doing the work. The assignment this time is a simple one. Take a photo of a face that you made. And I expect even Jasna to make a face and share on the platform on WhatsApp. And then we meet in the next lesson for more discussions. Otherwise, thank you very much. I want to end it there, unless there is a question.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Felix. We appreciate.
Thank you very much.
Good work, Felix. Good work.
Thank you. I want to wish you a blessed evening and allow me to pray for you guys. Let's pray. Our Lord and our Savior, we thank you for this evening. Thank you for bringing us together once again to discuss on where we want to take our children and our country and our fellow teachers. We pray that in this investment of our time is not in vain. That Lord, you're going to make it happen for us as we continue to shine a light to one another and as we grow together. We pray that this course, teaching coding with Scratch, will not be a sheer wastage of time, but it will continue empowering us to become better at what you've called us to. We pray that as you go to sleep, you'll be with us. And as you continue reviewing materials, that Lord, you shall be empowered to deliver well. All this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. So thank you very much. I want to wish you a good night. Please, if you have any question, ask in the chat group, in the chat WhatsApp chat, and then let's see each other growing better and better by day. Thank you. Have a blessed evening.
You too. Thank you.